would be cheeky, but it would just be showing, hey, we don't want to give YSKM any chances to carry whatsoever.
I mean, you know what's also cheeky? The Varus first pick here as well. We did see Wink take it as support in game number 1. But we're not sure if EDG are going to have that same kind of idea. On the other side, IG looking at some potential engage, remembering that jungle can come through in this 1-2 rotation as well.
Yeah, that's still available. I'm very interested to see what they go for in the bot lane, because IG's bot lane has looked like they've really wanted to play aggressive options so far. We've seen the Lucian, we've seen the Draven, we've seen the Varus. We haven't seen them be one of the teams to default to the Sivir or the Zeri, which have been very commonplace with other teams so far.
On the other side, Sylas, and we get the combination. As you said as well, things like the Lulu in game number 1 you mentioned, I think were an important note. Didn't actually see it in the end, but always an option when the Yuumi is off the board. My biggest question here, Lyric, is if we get like that ego in the top lane. Remember the first couple of rotations, we saw top lane really early from EDG to match YSKM, who locked it in as well.
And this time around, we're actually getting a bit of a shifting of the guard, right? So waiting on the top lane like you're talking about, but now EDG able to get their hands on the Varus and the Azir, giving them that long range and set up the team fight to be able to play with, to where IG opting into the more brawly style. EDG looking to maybe get support earlier here. I'd kind of like that, to not leave so many options over towards the side of IG. It's going to give them an incredibly strong laning 2v2. They're going to have a lot of push to play with. We know FoFo should have early pry on this mid lane matchup, so should give Jiejie a lot of options to play with in terms of mid and bot side focus so far.
Yeah, different feel to last game then. So I like changing the dynamic already, considering that the Heimerdinger was actually the ban by IG in the first 3 ban phases, excuse me. This time around, as it gets locked in, IG are just going to swap it around. We get the Sivir, we get something a little bit more standard. But Lyric, now my question to you is, do we see EDG start banning away some of these AD carry supports with the Sivir, or does it feel like it's just a lost cause needing something like a Lulu to pair with?
I feel like the marksman support territory is still such a new ground that I'm curious to see how much teams feared, or like how confident they are to pair it with games like the Sivir coming out. So I'm not too sure what EDG are going to look for here. And it seems like on the opposing side, IG wanting to take away some of these top lane options, maybe not fearing junglers like Maokai or other strong picks, considering that they have the Sylas, and theoretically you do have that point of power that you could take the ultimate and have a lot of value from. Sure, EDG weren't able to execute it in game 1. We also saw a lot of that coming down to how the early game strategy from IG was able to really just shut that team behind. So yeah, both teams so far just looking to dilute this top lane pool even more.
And again, there's not much left available for the priorities for these two guys. I mean, it's triple top lane ban against YSKM. You pulled out the Camille that we've already seen from the man. Now the biggest question is, what else is there? Like things like Ornn we go into the pool. The Darius and Olaf we haven't really seen yet.
We have things like Gnar, which Gnar is such a higher priority in the LCK. He's actually the second most picked top laner in the LCK as compared to LPL, where we've only seen him 6 times so far. We've seen Ala play 1 game of Jayce. They wanted to opt in just completely playing around a range advantage with their comp, but they're definitely going to need some semblance of frontline coming out. We do still have a lot of junglers that can fulfill that role on the table, though.
But my man Wink, you know what, Lyric? It doesn't matter that we're like going towards, I guess, something that's more acceptable, right? We've had APMF, we've had ADMF with, Black Cleaver, I think even Brutalizer days it came through. But we get a double AD bottom lane regardless. It looks like Wink just wants his old rollback.
If there's any meta that is suited for Wink, it is definitely this one coming out with what you're able to play. Poppy now being shown for EDG. This would give them the front line that we were hitting on them needing, and also some more peel and disengage to play with. Now I wonder, does Ala go for something like the Jayce that we hit on that they played and kind of opt into this full, keep them at arm's length style, or something else?
You mentioned it. I like it.
Their comp would, stylistically have a very clear goal and identity.
And again, keep them at arm's length. It's good that you mentioned that when we look at what IG are bringing to the table. The Jayce that has been seen more and more here in the LPL, 5th time being picked up as well with a pretty good win rate. But YSKM, He is this kind of player. He will not opt into an Ornn matchup. He's not going to sit there and be bored out of his mind. He is going to try and flip the game, knowing well his individual skills suited. And Lyric, again, we have a Sejuani who's built for solo strong melee lanes.
It just sets up for YSKM wanting to get attention from his jungler. Going to need to look for those all-ins to be able to win out in these trades, set all behind, and see if you can find those avenues. Overall, I mean, we have heavy all-in coming from one side, right? IG, Sejuani, Sylas, who's champion.
They're an exciting team to watch, and we're about to find out if they can close it out with a 3-0 start to the LPL Spring Split. Now, just a reminder, it's really early, Lyric. This is only week number 3 as we've come back from the Chinese New Year break. But that is 1/3 of the way to locking in playoffs. 9 has always been the magic number, if not at least 8, right? 3 would be such a good start for Invictus Gaming to lead open spring.
Yeah, I was talking about this the other day with Sheen, that like talking about playoffs early always feels really weird and wrong, and people go, what are they doing? It's only week 3, technically week 2 if you count that week 1 and week 2 were only like 3 days each. True. But considering that it's only like single round robin in the LPL and there are so many teams, it feels like a lot of these early wins later on, we have so many teams that like miss playoffs by 1 series win or you know, 2 series. It's always incredibly close. So we're definitely looking at this one. And for EDG to be able to bounce back when they have picked a comp that does have a lot of volatility. You were saying we haven't hit much on, you know, kind of the history of the players. It's because it is a very different team, right? And kind of a bit of a misfit team when you think about it. Ala, someone who has always been up and down when he was on like DMO, TT, LNG, had some high highs, had some low lows. FoFo, very similar, was one of the best mid laners in LMS back on J team, but then had some great games on BLG and RA, but also had some very daunting low points.
Cool to see actually PCS players going up against each other, right? Different lanes, but
in different generations.
Very different generations, right? You know, FoFo's been here a while. YSKM started in IG young and then jumped back around to the PCS. His leave just takes a massive trade. But yeah, interesting talk about the generational disadvantage, or maybe rather advantages. We're going to be looking at this 2v2 in the bottom lane. Wink and on, double AD carry again, Lyric. That will be fun.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how this one goes, especially once Wink gets a few levels under his belt, having like both the E and Q available to him in terms of how they're able to try to combat the strong trade patterns able to come out from what Varus and Heimerdinger are able to do. We can see now what we would expect, right? Early push going over to the side of EDG in all 3 lanes, having just range advantages in both top and mid, and then something like Heimer that just enables that push so well on that bot side.
Again, the push stays there for the time being. Just going to look across the side. Junglers might be meeting with each other for a bit. Jiejie going for a quick invade as Dove goes for the all-in, but this timing might not be great. Jiejie comes in with the shot, but it's not against the wall. Flashes, hammer shock, doesn't connect, and Dove survives, burning the summoner after Jiejie comes in red hot.
Still nice that they're able to get the flash from Dove, considering that, right? He's going to want to look for trade patterns like that. But we need to pause as Gideon trying to find an avenue into the bot lane, won't be spotted.
And look at how sneaky this is. The level 3 Sejuani IG jungler. They're going to get the heal first. The flash match. The Arctic Assault runs in and Gideon burns his own, but now Leaf has no summoners left remaining.
That's going to be huge. Right, the immobility coming out from this Varus and them wanting to push, them wanting to try to contest 4th place in this bottom lane. It's going to make it so much harder. So going to need to see more vision control put down towards bot lane for the side of EDG. And one thing about their composition I'm very curious in seeing is how they navigate kind of 2 lanes that theoretically want pressure, right? You're in a very volatile matchup in top lane that if Jayce starts falling behind or if YS can find a kill, that'll be able to flip very easily. In this bottom lane, like sure, I guess they can function just catching waves themselves, but right, you would want to be pushing and contesting for turret as a Varus and a Heimer. So it's going to be a bit of a juggling act for the side of EDG in terms of where Jiejie and FoFo are putting their pressure.
Well, it looks like top lane is your answer for the time being, but going to be spotted on a ward. This Hex Flash also spotted by a ward deeper into the defensive side jungle of IG. YSKM expecting here as Arla slowly pushes in this top side as well. Gideon also matching for the top side here, Lyric, as Arla just keeps shoving out. Good little dodge, or I guess a miss in Arla's case here, as I guess YSKM just wants level 6 here, Lyric, to get that all-in potential.
Yeah, definitely looking for it and waiting for times to combo up with the Sejuani, right? You have that such a strong pairing. But EDG done a great job of keeping up mission control so far towards that top side. They do have top side scuttle, and I mean, we saw the ward in Tribrush there for Ala, making sure that no shenanigans can come through.
So, my curiosity then relies on what happens to the rest of this bottom lane, because Wink is someone so far has been pretty exciting to watch in that first game on the Varus support. And the second one, we talked a little bit about the misfortune, but he's also been someone who I think's been roaming around. Lyric, in game 1, I think it was level 3 on Varus, that Wink just started moving towards mid and was pretty crucial to helping one of those first ganks for top.
Yeah, and not going to have, I think, the same level of potency. I guess you can walk there, throw down the E, get a slowdown, and try and set up even better for Dove to find an all-in. But with FoFo, the one who's going to be able to maintain pressure in this matchup for a little bit longer, it's going to make it, I think, harder for them to be able to find those opportunities. So, I mean, script completely flipped in terms of like how the lanes go in this game, giving EDG more breathing room than they had in game 1. So at least we're not going to get to a point theoretically where, you know, a team's down like 6K. It's YSKM.
Vanguard's edge, and look, he doesn't get the flawless duet. Ala going to survive, but Iron and Fervor is fully stacked, and YSKM not able to draw out the summoner from Ala. So good restraint here from the top laner of EDG as well.
I like that he knew as well, the second the flawless duet doesn't land, that he can look for that return trade, try to even the health bars out. Had that landed, YSKM maybe would have been able to get that summoner spell out from him, but still able to find some of these opportunities. Now going to use the honey fruit to be able to get some of that health back that he is missing out on.
Minion Wave presents an opportunity here. Shock Blast not connecting. And so YSKM, again, getting that Ionian Fervor stacked up, as both junglers looming over the wing as well. Gideon is a level up. Right now, 10 CS up as well. Just spotting Jiejie and leaving the Scuttle Crab for now, meaning EDG have a bit of top lane priority to play with.
Yeah, we saw Gideon immediately back off because FoFo was the one pushing in mid, and Ala had just pulled back from the wave, so he wasn't showing. Gideon not feeling comfortable with the potential collapse that will be able to come through. And now it looks like this is their plan. Try and maintain the vision control of top side. They feel fine leaving their bot lane duo as is, even though we were kind of wondering if they would give them any amount of attention, considering that you do have this lane that we can see here want to take these plates.
Okay.
But with Herald coming up in 30 seconds, definitely prioritizing top side is the play.
Yeah, 20 left, and that dragon's sitting up there. We'll see if IG get a response play, because just further on the laning state, Lyric, 25 towards mid. I mean, that'll be slightly evened up as Dove is able to get closer towards the 20 mark. But the point still stands where Bot as well has now a sizable lead, with Leave hitting level 6 with the Chains of Corruption, getting the plates you mentioned on screen. It is a flip of the script, because EDG are now about 700 gold up in the early game, and can seize the map wherever they want. So my question to you is in regards to IG, do you make a trade play? Do you look towards that dragon? Or is it about trying to get a quick skirmish now that you're starting to hit level 6 yourself?
They definitely will feel comfortable contesting like EDG in terms of if EDG want to go for Herald, trying to look to match that play, because a lot of their strength is going to come through these skirmishes and these sprawls. EDG's power comes from like the isolated 1v1s and 2v2s, where they can abuse just the early game trading power they have and the range advantage that's coming out.
I like the ability of range advantage. We talked about that in draft especially. Members like Ala, you know, FoFo as well. People kind of forget the Azir, as we've already seen in lane. Especially Leave and Meiko here on this bottom lane duo, who are stacking up nicely. Jiejie finding Wink in rotation, the ulti in return, but he has to burn both summoners just before Dragon, just before Herald, Lyric, and that ulti has a long cooldown at this point as well.
And now Jiejie feeling fine leaving Ala up in that top side by himself, finally able to utilize his push and pressure coming out from their bottom lane. Dove at the same time for IG was low on health, low on mana, had to go for the reset, so just able to come out.
YSKM missed, and Flawless Duet misses. He's in a lot of trouble. He might be stacking up the Q here, but is Ionian Fervor enough? Oh my god! Now all you need is Shock Blast. Ala going in, YSKM still with the full stacks in, and he gets it! You should bloody know him!
misses everything. Ult goes wide, E goes wide, but the Ionian Fervor stacking up. Ala trying to kite it out. Feels like he can go for it, but YSKM still comes out on top.
Hot damn, man. He misses the ulti and everything. Lyric, take it away, because that was just everything.
Yeah, Ala trying to like whittle him down slowly, goes in, ult goes completely wide. I mean, passive stacking up, you can see Conqueror stacking up as well. Able to get out of there though. And I mean, the fact that he had so many minions to play around and get those Qs off was huge, but this is where you can tell Ala wanting to try to kite out this trade and play off the range, but with no vision in that brush, walks a bit too far forward, thinks he can go for it with the hammer form Q coming up, but YSKM, another Q able to come out, guarantees the trade. I mean, the amount of healing and damage coming out with all those stacks was massive.
And I just love that 1v1 wasn't the cleanest of 1v1s. Not everything perfect, but it's a 1v1 that's a win for YSKM. And then IG are playing off the back of it. Lyric, this is going to turn into a dive, but look how far out they go forward. Gideon sets up the closer prison, and YSKM gets gifted another one. All of a sudden, IG are off to the races, balancing out top with bot.
Yeah, IG actually the team with Herald, so they could look at dropping that. It looks like they're setting up for the play after they do push out this wave. They're keeping Wink up towards this top side. And even have already rotated on over to the mid lane. So not leaving their own AD carry exposed for any potential gank dives or, you know, whatever shenanigans EDG can look to cook up. So overall, nice response coming out from IG from just the amount of lane pressure that EDG have been coasting off of so far.
And again, it's been diverted, hasn't it? Because Wink moved up the top lane again. Lyric, doesn't matter if it's mid or top. I mean, Wink just doesn't like staying in lane no matter what champion he's on. And this roaming about, setting up YSKM, it's going to be first turret to the bottom side of the map. But a response here with 475 gold over to IG. They actually have the gold lead here as well. At about 12 minutes into the game, as Jiejie now coming into Arn in the mid lane. Not going to be able to spell shield that. Shoved back. Arn shields in the end. It's the ulti. Jiejie doesn't get the knock-up. And he's helped saved by Wink now with double summoners down too.
So, I mean, summoners burned from the side of On. Like, Jiejie now not having flash, not really too big of a deal when you're on this Pompies compared to being able to get everything out of the opposing Sivir. But now we start to look at items coming out, right? I mean, first item on the board for YSKM, having that Blade of the Rune King. You have Rod of Ages coming out from Dove already as well. And I mean, for the side of IG, they're starting to get to those power points where we talked about their composition is the one that's going to be scrappier. It's going to be brawlier, having so many melee options. It's about the all-in. They're going to be able to start looking and taking those fights comfortably.
In a game that, I don't know, was just looking so EDG favored through the laning phase. You look at gold, top left of your screen. Compare top laners. That's a big deal. Compare jungle, where Gideon has been the better jungler in this series so far. And mid lane feels like it's going to be, you know, FoFo against the world at this point because of his lead through the early laning phase. And Lyric, got some more questions for you because next Dragon's coming up in 2 minutes 30. Those items you were talking about, kind of big center points here to seeing if EDG can manage to get that poke damage down or if it's going to be insignificant in comparison to IG with, I guess, their item advantage shown on the Rift right now. Oh, never mind. Okay. Hold the thought because Arla might just be dead. Gideon is everywhere.
Great timing, because look at all this flash. It's just about to come up. I love that they punished a timer coming out. Ala now going to build significant damage onto this tier 2 turret, and they're even cutting off the path for any members of the EDG to rotate. Jiejie and FoFo down on the bot side. Leave and Meiko not in a position to where they can safely walk through their own jungle. Look at the amount of vision that IG have in that topside jungle as well as Dove, though. Is forced to flash, but a whole turret going over for YSKM off of that one pick. Huge.
Just sets the game up for success. IG, their gold lead is extended. We're at 1,500 at this point in the game, and at 14 minutes, the turret plating goes down. There are no turrets standing outside of the base in the top lane. Arla is in a ghost town up there. While, meanwhile, you look at mid, bottom, outer turrets still standing in other lanes that IG can start looking at. And it's a minute 10 Lyric until that dragon coming up as well. So now with all that gold onto YSKM, that side lane, think about how brutal it's going to be with the fact that he's getting towards his mythic now. Second item coming through on an Aurelia that's going to be huge in this next fight.
And I like that they're sending him down towards bot side right now with Dragon being the objective that's going to come up. And heck, you've already gotten both turrets top lane. It's about starting to play around for that bot tier 1. So put your point of pressure down there. Everything's on that side of the map. They're going to put some threat on FoFo now, and it will give you an avenue to try to play into this Dragon.
He doesn't care. That's Radiant Virtue for you. You'll throw the ulti out, and away you'll go. 30 seconds left to go. Jiejie spotted out Meiko as well. But look at all the wards, Lyric. It is a minefield of wards. If you just focus on IG through mid lane, there's about 15 wards placed down just throughout the river and towards Dragon.
EDG finally starting to try to clear some of these out, but Wink and Gideon still here trying to put some pressure on contesting. And you've moved YSKM down to the bot lane, so he's going to be able to very easily make his way over and be that point of power. Gideon, though.
Okay, there's a flash come through, turns it around. The Radiant Virtue's going to heal him up. YSKM's all the way in. A shutback from FoFo is great, but Jiejie's now down. They have no jungler for the smite. And IG with numbers advantage are going to start this right off. Things looking good here for Invictus Gaming yet again. Is EDG trying to get some gold value out of pushing the outer turret mid?
Yeah, they're going to get pressure mid, and Ala doesn't opt to follow with the TP himself, which I think is a good decision considering that Jiejie is down. Maybe if you get tier 1 turret down top, it's not the end of the world. IG just picking up their very first Dragon. EDG just need to try to get some more gold in their own pocket and finish off these items. They have Mythic on both FoFo and Ala. And right, I mean, you're playing Heimer, so you go for the Rylai's first. We still don't have an item done for Jiejie. Ghost Blade on leave, so a bit of an earlier damage build instead of going straight towards your Mythic. But I think definitely wanting to get some items on Jiejie and even getting leave towards that next finish himself, because he's incredibly close.
Yeah, again, Leave is someone who, you know, we haven't talked about much this game, but he's still quite ahead like FoFo. As another turret goes down meanwhile. That was just Dove using the ulti off a cooldown as Meiko looks for a play. But won't be able to find anything into the struggle unless Jiejie commits. Leave poking down. And we do have the Herald sitting there waiting. Second Herald around. That both teams seem kind of interested in, as now FoFo Lyric is even making his way up to put 5 members, at least 4, sorry, on the top side of the map.
And that's what EDG's comp needs to do in my mind. Like they need to be playing together. You're not trying to opt into like getting these waves pushed out. You want your formation, the Emperor's Divide there to knock people back. You have things like the Chains of Corruption as well. Jiejie tanking it all, and just Ala, Leave, and FoFo trying to whittle members of IG down when they are funneled into areas like River. But again, IG's vision control right now is just so scary. Like, how do EDG even try to make their way in? Jiejie's trying to find it now, but he's going to be immediately forced back.
As he goes in first, but the rest of EDG are not there. Poked down quite a bit. YSKM setting out the flawless duet. That is narrowly avoiding on Meiko. As Herald resets, FoFo's trying to frontline this, but look at Dove. His positioning is going to be huge, and as he comes on in, maybe we should know him as well. It's the long haul here with the poke coming through, the bullet time as well, launched away. Jiejie sees numbers advantage, but Dove, I've been looking the whole time. He's stealing away the Chains of Corruption, it lands in the middle, and this is where they go. Wink gets the flash over the wall, it's a scrappy one, but they take down Jiejie, and Dove's plan works out in the end as YSKM jumps on in, launched back, and he gets sniped down. Maybe IG have gone too far as EDG might have something to say. Gideon runs forward, and now he's dead too. Dove with the chain lash. It's gone to Duck, flashed away from Ala, gets him. They're punished, and Invictus Gaming finally looking in the mirror.
EDG were able to kite out the fight. Sure, Chains of Corruption came through from Dove onto FoFo, but he flashes that away immediately. You get one pick, and then you don't really have any great tools left up to be able to follow through, right? Gideon's ult down, and now for EDG, they're going to be able to get away. Still didn't get the Rift Herald, weren't able to pick anything up, but the fact that they're able to win on the fight is huge. We see here Jiejie starting it off by knocking away the Misfortune. And look, Dove takes away Chains of Corruption, can get it onto FoFo, but no one's able to follow up because Jiejie is doing such a nice job of zoning out these other members. Now, no Sejuani ultimate available. You don't really have any way of finding the engage you want.
Right on.
And a really nice ult coming out from FoFo to make sure this goes down. And I mean, just look at FoFo and Leave. They have so much room to try to kite away this fight and on. Does find Meiko on the back end, but doesn't really mean all too much.
But you were saying for EDG in this game, you know, keeping space is a nice way to put it. We talk about playing range. what EDG can do with their early leads and their stability in this game. Well, we saw there from FoFo exactly that. He's got a Leandries, he's setting up for a Void stuff. Leave was another great example where 2 items strong this Varus was able to space out as well. So IG walked into a bit of a trap, couldn't coordinate it well, and now finally Lyric. I feel like this is one of the most solid things we've seen all series from Edward Gaming.
I will say though, like, they rely a lot on their flashes. For IG, it's about getting those flashes down to then look for the all-ins, so it's much harder for EDG to be able to kite out the fight like they did last time around. So IG now might be in a position where they want to try and find an engage for themselves once again. But I think it's hard because you don't really have too many like hard lockdown tools to work with. Like Dove this time around, I'd say the best ult you could probably steal would be the Azir one to knock them into your team. Even Chains of Corruption, you're only locking down one member.
As Weak might be caught out, has to cleanse away. Jiejie could be getting flanked here. Gideon is on the enemy lines. YSKM though is dealing with the bottom side wave. So for EDG, they walk in the river. They're confident they've got numbers advantage for the time being. Dove now moving back into the frays. For EDG Lyric, they want this second dragon. Wink is also chunked out. Maybe that's a perfect opening.
Yeah, I think this should be theirs. YSKM those kind of playing to an off angle and try brush, but he's just gonna back off. So EDG gonna be able to pick up their second Drake, and they're feeling good. They're still a bit down in gold, but I'd say for all intents and purposes, I mean, this game is pretty much even on both sides. Even the amount of vision control that IG were commanding earlier on just isn't there in the same lane.
And again, they don't have the Umbral support this time around because Wink has gone AP as they've actually found a pick onto Leave. I guess we know where he's going now as YSKM flies in onto Meiko. Bladed Rune King gets the move speed, falls Duet close to hitting the same mark. And Lyric, it's Baron o'clock all of a sudden because their AD carry is dead. I don't know what happened.
And Ala doesn't have TP either, so Ala won't be able to make his way over here. This will just go down.
They've got Norelli with Bladed Rune King and Divine Thunder as this will fall if EDG don't get in. Jiejie getting zoned off by Winkers. Dove now spotted out on the flank. Steals away whatever he wants out of the Donger. There you go. Photon Grenade sent across. And just like that, Invictus Gaming with the old howdy to bring back in the game. Even against Ala, Dove's going to be able to try to defend this turret. Not able to do so. Ala gets it, but Baron is off.
One pick in the game completely turns back to just feeling like IG should be able to push this advantage forward. Gonna have Baron buff now to keep the EDG's like ability to push at bay. And we'll see here, I mean, Leave. Just feel like
he's got feeling
confident. Yeah. Has the Azir turret next to him, wanting to just push in this one wave. Green out, it's IG take advantage.
Lyric, he should listen to his name.
He should. It's rough.
I don't know if he knows. But Leave is honestly got to be looking at his name there because that was just, that hurts so much. The Baron pickup, the 2k gold lead now. So what can you do with this when you have an Aurelia side lane who's nearly unbeatable? As, okay, I guess you can go in on the 4 for IG through bit.
Just threatening in like the in-between jungle of mid and bot. I think they're doing a nice thing to be able to react to pressure EDG tries to respond to either way, because it definitely feels like YSKM is your pushing force with this side lane threat coming through, and still just trying to pull members of EDG apart. You can see On and Wink still just hovering around that mid lane, finally gonna make their way over now, but no engage gonna come through just yet.
Well, waiting for YSKM to land that flawless duet. Has been close so far as EDG stack as a 4-man. Mid being pushed in, you can see that Leave has to sit there for the time being. But IG playing the patience game, as now Leave has to move down as well, but this turret will be gone. With that Baron buff having another minute 15 to see how IG can play it through next.
We'll be able to go back and maybe get some more items under their belt as On just picking up a bunch of components coming on through. We can see, I mean, now 3 items for YSKM. Guardian Angel picked up. It's going to be rough for the members of EDG, but at least they have flashes back up once again. So feels like they should be able to deal with any potential engage that IG try to get under their belts. And that's why it might come down to, once again, just another pick from the side of IG. Ultimate from Gideon onto someone. You have enough burst to just completely wipe out a member of EDG.
They are gearing up for a flank. I mean, again, Leave seems to be the target as Gideon's going through enemy jungle. trying to push with the rest of this Baron. 20 seconds left remaining, and then we can see where we stand as Gideon walking through, trying to get the ward in brush, successfully does so, with Arla chunking him out and showing a threat. But Lyric, 10 seconds left to go. I think this Baron is going to be a stalemate, not letting them into the base. At the very least, Wink might be caught out now. Jiejie going in, poke good from Leave as well. I have a quick question for you, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to ask it. I always want to ask at the worst times. You know that as into the red buff steal. Okay, it ends there for the time being. Lyric, if this game goes on for a long while, which at the moment so far, 25 minutes, no soul in the horizon does, my question to you is about scaling. Like, who do you favor? Because it's a simple question usually, but there are a lot of elements to how these comps play out that feels like it's situational.
It's like one of those ones where I feel like talking about damage is negligible just because of how differently these compositions want to play out. The fact that YSKM will be able to constantly keep up this pressure insides, I think will always give IG some avenues to being able to find flanks or ways onto the members of EDG, keep up like wards in a side lane and give them those avenues. So I still like what IG have.
As we, you know what, might be moving because EDG Jiejie's caught out Gideon again, man. I'm getting giddy just talking about him. YSKM missing the ulti, trying to predict where Leaf's going as he has to stay, but unfortunately, IG won't let him flash forward. YSKM hits it. Flawless duet, baby. Gideon wants the permafrost, but now it's eyes on Arla. Invictus Gaming felt like a bunch of misfits in their own right. There's this team that just comes together. Really doesn't make that much sense. But this team's beating EDG now. They 2-0'd RNG last week.
I mean, they've just been on a hot streak. I really feel like cohesion and how they're playing together, like their decision-making has just been so on point. Jiejie getting caught out, trying to clear out these control wards around River. Leave forced to flash from that bullet time, unfortunate position. And then IG able to keep running them down. YSKM here going to try and get onto FoFo, but to me, that's like the most important thing of these fights coming through. No vision there to be able to follow up on the kill, but they just forced the 3 flashes of the 3 key members. Like, it cannot be overstated how important these summoners are, because now IG can try to run them down.
YSKM, bit of trouble, has the GA available. Force duet is there, stacks up the passive, but the TP's come through. FoFo's now joined in. Gonna fight the top lane is Jiejie with a great ulti. They're back on YSKM, but he's got maximum passive, maximum overdrive, and maximum damage. Now comes in Leave, who tries to carry the fight, but doves on him like sliced bread as he gets knocked up, yeeted up, and golden. Oh my god, fly, dove, fly. IG are brutal in their crusade to 2-0 this game.
That timing was just perfect coming out from Dove. We can see here them waiting towards this top side. They have waves pushing in bot, pigs coming up for the Baron that's going to spawn soon. Everything is just going IG's way to inch them closer to that 3-0 scoreline. And we're going to see here YSKM wanting to go for this. He has the GA up, so he isn't really too afraid of going down. You have the other members pinstering through. Goes down and buys time, though. Glacial Fissure immediately comes down to Ala, and that's the surprising thing to me. Is Papio pushes away 2 members, but with YSKM still in the fray, Hysterics, I don't even have time.
No, you don't, dude, because IG, it feels like old times. They still want to always fight. Arla tries to walk in top. I mean, EDG, they look a little bit clueless at this point. In both Game 1 and Game 2, there are out of options at Hills. Now onto the second Baron of the game. IG are just getting dividends, man. Huge stomps here as Lever slowed down. Hit in the bullet time. Beautiful stuff from Wink and Gideon as it all comes together yet again.
And the thing is, we've had teams that have had hot starts before. I think LNG last year comes to mind, where it's like a bunch of close games and like games where like enemy teams are throwing and you're like, should they have won this? Like their scoreline's a bit deceptive. To where this IG team, if they win this, which I mean now 10k gold upright, they really should.
No, he doesn't have it.
He goes down.
The burn.
IG are going to be not only 3-0, they're going to be 6-0 in games. They haven't dropped a game. You know, out from the split, and the games so far have looked clean. Like they passed the eye test, everything looks good, and it's so crazy when you consider that they've passed RNG, they're about to pass EDG, 2 teams who aren't at the same I'd say, level of power as they were in past seasons, but still, you know, middle to upper echelon of the table. And it just gets you excited to see them up against the top esports, the JDGs, the Weibo Gamings of the world.
The real big teams that also have big top laners as well. The exciting is Jiejie with the fancy foot. Gets him out of there. In fact, he has 2 of them. Walking
I was going to say,
doesn't
the footwork. It's the fancy foot.
Might be a bit of a hop there from Jiejie. Honestly, he's 0-5 and 0. Jiejie hasn't had the best performances. Once again, Gideon feels like he's jungle gap here, Lyric. And IG now with the second Baron of the game. They are assaulting on multiple fronts, and EDG trying to pick a side. Bye.
Yeah, Meiko
Yeeted out of
gonna get sent flying. This Gideon gonna get chunked out. You at least have this poke coming through, but it just feels like a matter of time for the side of IG.
As another yeet out of there, man, I love it. Everyone's going flying here today as these Baroned up minions are doing some nice work right now. Dove going to be sending out the Heimerdinger. And as he does, you've got 2 inhibitors now dropping down IG on the door of 2-0 yet again. We already talked about expectations. They weren't there as YSKM has just TP'd on in. The waves channeling through as well. Invictus Gaming thinking about whether they can end it here. And EDG thinking about a return of play, but maybe not yet as the poke comes through from Wink. Even that's hurting here. Getting with ulti on Jiejie again. Ulti stolen by Dove to poke down IG with 5 versus 4. Now they're going to lose their jungle in the process. YSKM gets an ulti through, gets the passive out. Takes down Arla with him. But now for the rest of IG as the back comes through cheekily. Wink flashes away. FoFo gets him. I'm just surprised it's Dove.
Oh,
what? Dove just TP'd back in. No one expects the Spanish Inquisition. Dove comes through. The Ipscon of Duck not going to connect with the Petricide burst to passive. Dove is such a Chad. This team is sexy, man. I love every minute of IG this season. I don't even care if that sounds biased.
They are just the most fun team to watch in the LPL right now. Exciting gameplay, exciting picks. They look good as well. Just the expectations coming in weren't there, which makes the story all the more fun. And then the entrances, right? Like, this IG team just says everything right now. They still haven't played any of the, like, superstar-studded lineups on paper, but they beat EDG. They've beaten RNG. They've done it in commanding fashion. There is not